Good morning. How's everybody doing? Well, gap down to major support. Buyers bought the dip. No one's surprised. Now the heavy lifting begins. Yesterday was the easy one. So take a look at the futures. We'll see if this is going to hold here. If it doesn't, room to the 50. There's nothing to the left of the 50. There's open gaps as target areas. And I find it hard to believe that this little shelf right here is going to serve as anything of significance, considering this sideways consolidation over the course of a month or so. And of course, this could turn out to be a head and shoulders top. Got the left side there. We've got the new high and we've got the dip. And so it could form the right shoulder. Who knows? At this point, maybe it just waterfalls down, which would be, I think, better. Get it over quick if that's in the cards. We shall see. We'll see where things are at. I mean, yesterday was, the initial move up with first thing in the morning, and then the drop to the support and the rally, and just went nowhere all day. You can see the chop there. So buyers didn't give it up later on. There was this little dip, but they couldn't get it going over here. And, in the green room there, we spoke, Dan had mentioned what everybody asked, what do you think is going to happen? What's going to happen, right? And I said, well, if it breaks these pivots, it should go down. Well, it did for about a few minutes, and it sprung right back up again. So, it was just a mess all afternoon. This pulled back to that minor support, and so that was a plus that it even stopped at the minor support and came back up to the resistance, but it couldn't make any headway. So now we know it's a little bit lower, but not that significantly. SPX, I'm not so sure that it's a good thing to do today. Hold on a second. Just double checking. This one. 12th. Well, 4,000 obviously is going to be a big level. 425, 4,025. Somewhere 4,025, and I think that's far enough away. There's some premium down there. I always look at these things like, is it a no-brainer? And I think that's a no-brainer today. Let's see. If you're a little more adventurous, 4,040. So there's good open interest at 4,050. So you've got the 50 there. I don't, usually these big range days like that, you get a stabilization day, or even if it dips, I don't think it's going to go down all that much. Yeah, McGraw's telling me 4,035. So yeah, that's I think the safe zone. And since it's already, on the moving downward, I haven't gotten to the futures yet, but you can see they're down 22, Nasdaq's down 160, and so on. So down there, up above, 42. There's nothing. 42. Yeah, the money's on the downside and it's far away. Okay. So S&Ps, excuse me, S&Ps, you can see dip down a little bit, and a little pop back up again. You can see the chop is kind of grinding, but when it broke the lows there, which has been pretty much a regular thing intraday, break the prior lows and pop back up again. Been happening a lot. That was a pretty big bar on the 5. So choppy stuff going on here. We'll see if it stabilizes down here, which, when you look at this, it makes sense. Wide range bar down, then down. And so even if it ends poorly and we get a range day like this, where's it going to put it? Here, as far as the put spread goes, that's still so far enough away that, there's no heavy breathing involved. It shouldn't be. It's always a little tense when it starts to drop. Is it going to stop? But you've got the 50, and maybe this kind of comes into play as far as an intraday stabilization at that 40 at 4,080. So there you have it. YM finally gave it up, down to support. If you heard me say it once, you heard me say it 1,000 times. Look to the left. No special T lines, fib lines, VWAPs, channels, Bollinger Bands, or any other needed. Does anyone have a login problem? No, I logged into IB this morning, Norbert, no problem. So they're stabilized on support and didn't get that deep into it. So it didn't even come down to the bottom of it. So, pretty much held the area, pretty much held exactly the area of the rising 20 simple moving average yesterday. Just touched it and began to stabilize. Just chop, chop, chop. Maybe it's starting to make a little bottom. When they come down like this, it creates a void. And this is exactly what we look for. Meaning on the hourly chart, some type of stabilization like this. And so then once that happens, we can go to the 5 and we see the tighter pivots, and you see the dip and the retest on the dip. And so as this begins to tighten up, so this is the whip. And then as this begins to tighten up, this is where you get the high probability trades, where it begins to wind the spring, so to speak. And you can see it is tighter other than the tail on the 15, as opposed to this. So those that are new to how we look at the charts and explain things, and say, what does that mean to get tightened up? Well, that's not, you look at this and compare it to that, and you say, oh, that's what he means. It's tight. The ranges are relatively close together. But when it starts to happen on the 5, you're really close to a move in one direction or the other. And because of the dip, the dip down, right, like this, and recovery, and dip down and recovery, it suggests it can go up into the void. The Qs actually showed a little leadership yesterday, not this morning. Weekly is pretty big bar there, coming down to the support area. And so that was a pretty nasty little drop there, and it's beginning to recover. Trends are down, so we do not have alignment, but we haven't had alignment. This has been part of the concern with the markets, that tech has been so weak. So, just looking at this, just how I would say, well, where would I want to take a swing type of position and see stabilization? Well, it's not here. It's down here, where there's been some, a solid area of price support. And so we'll just see if that plays out. We've got the big 13,000 whole number there. Maybe that gets tagged today, because this isn't showing any real attraction to moving higher like, the Dow did. Let's just go back and look at those S&Ps once more. Let's break. And the Dow is the only one. So I like to see them lined up. Oh, the Russell back down to the bottom of the base, the whippy base there. And we'll all be looking at the end of the week to see what kind of bar we have on on late in the day Friday, whether it's possibly a bottoming tail bar or whether it's a big nasty red bar suggesting even lower. So this has been a giant mess all year, with breakdown failures and breakout failures, and now it's at the bottom of the trading range. And so the way this one came down into this area, that's a more attractive pattern than one in which it begins to look like it's ready to go higher, right? Because that's what we talked about here was this breakdown failure and this pullback, which was about within a normal range of a pullback and a bottoming tail, and now it fails. So I don't know what this is going to do. It's if it doesn't lift off here in a meaningful way and go sideways for a couple of days, it's more supportive of going lower. And bonds, all right, inching down, which means 10 years inching up. And we looked at the weekly chart. We look at all of these every day. And this is, this downside shakeout. And if we close this way, I think, it should be an easy move to 2% and maybe above, but that's where the resistance area is over there to the left. And I think this moving up, you need to keep an eye on that, because if it does, equities are going to go down. Same story as 10-year. Oh, there's a nasty little drop there. That just happened. Some report. Oil can go up. We've got a president and administration that's trying to put America out of business. And so the price of gas going up, and wood, food, this, that, the other thing. But these pipeline issues, wow. All right. TJ saying same there in Canada. You're closer to that cyber attack, supposed cyber attack that closed down a pipeline. How, you hear the rhetoric now. It's like, oh, maybe they can't pass laws, but they can do this by regulation and underhanded things like this to close down so that we can't use oil and gas. And, now you've got what I hear, Jeff Bezos saying that there shouldn't be any more meat. Maybe he wants to close down Whole Foods and close down the meat counter. Let's see if he really means it. Gold, up at that resistance area. Yeah, me too, Fabio. David was saying that he's not on the pro version, so he's got the free commissions, but whatever. They got a problem today. Hey, sometimes there's problems with software. It happens. Silver, kind of a grind. I don't like those kind of patterns, but you can't argue with the fact that it's grinding its way up. Yeah, I think that's about it. I looked at that. And transports starting to give it up. And lo and behold, and I'll tell you, we've been waiting for this for a long time, but I am not so sure ready to rely on this for if I can get this to, what the hell? Come on. I want to crash the program. Internals are stuck under the I can't move it. Anyway. I can't grab it. Breath was very negative yesterday, as you would suspect. I can't grab it, Blue Chip. I don't know what's going on here. So it brought the moving average into the lower bands, which historically are very high. So we usually do not get signals from internals with at that level. That was the sentiment that came in there, but the breath moved down to under minus 100. So let's see how this thing plays out, and I can get this thing fixed so you can show it to you. But anyway, typically that would be producing a buy signal, being into the lower bands and breath being where it is. But what I don't like, the best scenarios are when prices are coming down for a little while and you get that signal from internals, not where prices, have started lower over the last day or two. But, the buy the dippers, maybe that's all there is. We'll see. We have a better idea today and tomorrow. All yours, Dan. Yeah, I moved the scroll bar, but I can't grab the damn thing. Anyway.
You are always having tech problems.
I know. I think it's from hanging out with you.
Yeah, probably.
All right.
All right. So yeah, yesterday afternoon from noon on was a absolute nothing. Bearish gap down. Kramer today said he just said the most amazing thing, which I agreed with on this inflation number. They're reporting it like a shock. Oh, 800, 4x worse than what we estimated, and the worst since 1981. Kramer's like, well, whoever came up with that estimate is a friggin' idiot, because if everyone knew inflation is high. So, I mean, Druckenmiller yesterday, the guy on Interactive Broker was talking. Whoever Kernan was talking to this morning, I forget, another hedge fund guy, whatever. Like every normal person is talking about inflation except the politicians and the Fed. And, we've been talking about that a lot the last 2 days. And I was actually blasting what the Fed's doing in our weekend letter. And it's interesting timing that now, all week long, people are talking about it, but we've been talking about it for a couple of weeks now. Oh, Greg, another example of inflation for me personally. I took some dry cleaning down in my local store. Last time I was there 6 months ago, $4.25 for dry cleaning a shirt. Now it's $8.50. 6 months later, it doubled for dry cleaning.
Chemicals.
Oh, and services inflation too. Oliver, Tesla short. Not a great pattern. It's on support. It bounces near the 200. It's gapping into yesterday's range. I don't know. It's just not jumping out at me right now. Let's look at a couple things. Pelletier from yesterday had a bearish gap and it just ripped, had an end of day base. So that looked higher. I got to sit in the afternoon into Nvidia. We did work. We're the only two new longs into the close. We sold naked puts on the Qs yesterday with the intent to add. This one's getting hit more obviously with higher rates, higher inflation, higher PE stocks. ARC Lady funds are down. Tyson, I posted as a long because it's a bull 1, 2, 3. I love gap reversals. Love these. Today, MT Live, we're talking about the continuation patterns. This is actually one, a gap reversals of the continuation pattern, continuation of an uptrend. So maybe we'll have to show that one later. Yeah, exactly, Joe. Yeah, my bicycle is 25% higher, chicken 30% higher the other day. On and on and on and on. Tima, Cisco, for Jose. there's no pattern here in TMUS. It had a bullish close, but now it's gapping down. There's nothing. I'm sitting on hands this morning. Same with Cisco. It is strong. Greg nailed it this day. He in the green room in the morning, before it was a big bar, and we were going to do a put spread, and there was no juice there, but that would have been a good directional. Let's see. We got into DDD yesterday as a core trade. That looks good. SUM, I posted as a watch. I said this would be a fantastic 1, 2, 3 if we get it. Another gap reversal breakout. Two sporting goods stores here. This is actually a bullish close yesterday. Had a breakout, bullish multi-week consolidation, breakout, bullish engulfing. That looks great. It gapped up on earnings, pulling in a little bit. So I'm going to put ASO there. I posted EA as a short put spread watch. It was gapping up this morning to 144. Now it's coming in, maybe 30-minute high. A big C, another sporting goods. That one's sloppier in a downtrend. So I like ASO better. MJ, I saw on the news that Schumer in New York's trying to pass legislation to make marijuana legal. And look at this. I mean, this thing has been trying to bottom for so long, and it's just still a mess. And now it's gapping down. So apparently that's not new news to the market. ARRY, that's an ugly cap down, but too big. Vizio. What's the volume? The 15-minute trades like it has late volume. But this is new IPO, broke out, trading range broke out, kind of a sloppy bull flag, but I like yesterday's engulfing. So if it had earnings, so if it can negate this gap down and take out yesterday's high, then that's a long idea. Wix, nice gap reversal yesterday on major support, gapping down. I would have no interest unless it took yesterday's high out. Uniform, nice, what we call a gap and snap. After climactic buy setup, far from the 20. So that's a long day trade watch. I'll put that in my other computer. You. All right. CMR, messy, recent IPO. EA we just talked about. Nari, another kind of gap and snap on the 200. We'll come back to that. 30 minutes. Burt's had earnings. I'm shocked there's no pre-market volume. It's a popular stock, but McGraw, this is a no-brainer call spread at 280 if it opens weak. Lemonade. That's in pain. I have no interest. Wendy's, it's a big gap. I would be all over this if it was just gapping to like 23.20, 23.40, something like that. But for me, when the gap gets too big, they could go higher, but I put it in and watched in the first 30 minutes, see what it does. This DT was also kind of a sloppier gap and snap, but I don't like the fact that it gave up pre-market strength. Toyota, hey Debbie, I know likes Toyota. I don't, so I don't like all the gaps. Light. Light is even lighter today than it was yesterday. I mean, looks like it's going to 70 on that chart, and guess what? It's almost there. Fubo, kind of like Pelletier, negated yesterday's gap down and had a nice close and a day base. It had earnings today. That's worth watching on a pullback. Fubo. I'll put that in a window over here. 113. All right, so that's a big gap. Upstart. Yeah, gapping right to resistance, but possible put spread idea. Eyes, $6. We'll come back to you, Tyson. We talked about some. We talked about Shadidim. Kind of a 1, 2, 3 minor bear sandwich. I see it gapping down a little bit, set an alarm at yesterday's high. It looks to me like it might go to $6. And HNST. Oh, this is my girl, Jessica Alba. Not off to a good start with her honest company. Like she's still a billionaire, I think, so can't feel bad for her. Sandal, is that a pot stock? Yeah, it must be 78 cents. It's worth watching. I mean, maybe today's Wednesday, maybe over Monday's high, which it might be getting close. Yeah, 79.8, 79.80. So it's, yeah, maybe over 80. It's worth a nibble. Stop yesterday's low. Diamond's holding the best here. Still at resistance, but it's in a nice uptrend. WM, a mess. Q's the weakest, as we know. Spiders. I think this is going lower. Hey, Debbie. Debbie, I posted your Tyson over yesterday's high. Jets are a mess going down. Boeing, it's a mess. Cruise ship, mess. Marriott, mess. Everything's a mess. All right, I'm actually finished 30 seconds early today. All right, Nari. I'm going to watch Nari. Uniform, Echo Alpha, Fubo. So I got a couple watches here, but I got no other than, well, Tyson. That's just a regular clean trade. It's not a gapper. But I have a couple watches, but no tier ones today. My tier one yesterday was Triple D. That was my tier one gapper yesterday, and we bought it in the morning as a core trade. All right, Echo Alpha's coming in, so therefore, look, got no interest anymore. Although it could take out the 30-minute high and leave a bottoming tail. Is that possible? Of course it is. But I'm, in the habit of winnowing down my watch list. So shouldn't have done that. It negated a bullish gap up, 144 and change. ABEV, yep, that's yours, Debbie. I don't know what your question mark is. There's no new trade for me, far from the 20, but daily, weekly, monthly look higher. All right, uniform is kind of gapping and going. All right, Verts, McGraw, I'm going to check the call spread. It opened flat, which is good. 280s. Verts. I'm mixing this up, McGraw, with some. I thought Verts was a software company. Wasn't Verts Veritas software? Veritas, Verts. Now it's called Verta